Hey, you guys, it's Dr. G from Feel Good Functional Medicine and Possibility Doc, and I'm here with the amazing Mackenzie Chesko, kinesiology student at Western Washington University. And today, actually, I'm going to be I am going to be talking to Mackenzie because she's got some really wonderful stuff to share about getting into exercise and why it's so good for you. And so I'm way excited to talk with you about these things where we are trying to inspire you guys to your next level. We want you to be able to feel good every day of your life and feel strong. And sometimes it just takes little steps. So, Mackenzie, how are you doing today?
Been really great. It's been wonderful outside, and I've been enjoying the opportunity to spend time outside and be active in that sense. So yeah.
Well, you guys, if you aren't in Pacific Northwest, we've just been in this crazy heat bubble where like it got up to 105 in Bellingham, which is just nutty. It never gets that hot. And so I'm honestly, yesterday was nice and overcast. I was so appreciative of being overcast. But today we're going to give you guys some great tips on why and how you can change your activity level, even if you're a total couch potato right now, right? And so Mackenzie, tell me a little bit about what has gotten you interested in this and this particular, like helping people to take those next steps into activity.
So I became really interested in this, even before starting in my program, just because I know that there are so many benefits to being physically active. And a lot of people are intimidated by that because they think that you have to, run miles every day, and that's just not true. And I think, in my program, especially learning about how, living a sedentary life it can be detrimental to your health, and realizing that a lot of people in America are living very sedentary lifestyles, and there are just a lot of barriers to becoming more physically active. I've just kind of really developed this sense of awareness around the importance of just moving your body every single day. And I think that, it's a really simple thing that anybody can do, even if it's just getting up off the couch, walking outside, coming back inside. That's just one huge step towards becoming more active every day. And so, yeah, just the benefits of being physically active and recognizing that not that many people are physically active. um,
Mhm.
I can see that there's such an importance in, teaching people and encouraging people.
Right, right. Well, when I was in college, and I was an athlete, I was extremely active, and I was a kayaker. I was like on the rivers, and I was hiking and mountain biking all the time. And then, I went to school, and I stopped doing quite as much activity. But then I got sick, and I mean, there was a time in my life where I could not chase my kid 10 feet. I couldn't run after the kid. My legs would not do it because they were so weak. And, I sought a lot. I sought medical advice and didn't get great advice just because they couldn't identify what was going on with me. And later on, it turned out that I was sick from mold. But whatever it is, if you guys are feeling like you're weak and you can't even take that first step, I promise you that there are ways that you can get better. And that's my big message is, I'm like a comeback. I'm a comeback queen because there really was that time when I was laying on the ground crying, thinking I was not ever going to be able to run or anything. And, last week I was able to take a long run with my dog, and I'm going to do a half marathon in fall. And it's for me, it just feels totally miraculous. And I want to give hope to all you guys. This is what we're talking about is how you can do these things, because it's like exercise is like a combination of Prozac, which is an antidepressant, and Ritalin, which is like get you focused. So when you're talking with people about how much activity, what kind of goals are we setting around activity, or what are you thinking there? What are you telling folks?
So I know a lot of people are taught in like PE classes in grade school that 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity is kind of the goal per week.
Mhm.
But something that's more important, kind of related to that, is especially, in research that's been done, the American College of Sports Medicine wants people to be doing 30 minutes of activity per day.
Mhm.
And so at least 30 minutes, 5 days out of the week, but ideally 30 minutes, 7 days. However, like we were saying just a minute ago, a lot of people aren't moving at all. And so
Sorry.
that's okay.
Oh,
What's more important than reaching those markers that we've kind of set for ourselves is just moving it all. You know what I mean?
right.
So some people are starting at, very sedentary baselines and telling them, right off the bat, like, hey, you need to start moving for 30 minutes every single day. That's pretty unrealistic for some
Right.
people. And
You start with a minute, right? I start with a minute of movement.
yeah,
Tiny.
yeah. And so like just a minute or 5 minutes or whatever, and whether that's, just walking from your desk at work to your friend's desk, or walking to lunch, or taking the stairs instead of the elevator, just making very small choices, that's going to mean so much in the long run, versus if, you're looking at it thinking, oh my gosh, I need to work out for 30 minutes today, and then you might not even get to it because it's such a huge goal to set for yourself. You really
Yeah.
need to start at a more comfortable level. And so that's what I like to tell people is whatever you're comfortable with in the beginning, just do that. Start with that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is true. And then we're hard on ourselves when we set these big old goals and we cannot reach them. So that's why I believe in those micro goals, those tiny little goals. Like if it's meditation, it's a minute of meditation. So you kind of set a floor for your goal and a ceiling. So the floor is that base, the most littlest thing that you can do. And I've recently been telling I have a group of clients. We're doing metabolic reset and helping them strengthen. And it's an 8 minute isometric workout that you can do before you leave your bed, right? I mean, it's like it's squeezing. And with isometrics, you can really build muscle. And if people start to get that empowered feeling, like if you do a short isometric workout, which usually I'm telling folks to do, pick the muscles they want to work and you squeeze for at most 10 seconds.
Mhm.
And then you take like 5 or 10 second rest. And then you repeat that 3 to 5 times. And, so I have a routine. I give people that each morning they do 4 different exercises and you do it before you leave your bedroom. Right. And then you feel so good. It's like, yay, I did it. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the other thing is like with meditation, when we're trying to get people to meditate, which is another thing like activity. It's the opposite of activity, but it's activity for your brain.
Yeah.
We tell people to start with just 1 minute. And if you meditate more, that's great. But everybody can find 1 minute to take 4 slow, deep breaths, really chill out. So that is great. Well, so how hard should people exercise? What's our goal and where do we start?
So if you're just getting started, doing some very light activity is completely okay. The goal though is you want to be able to get up to a moderate intensity level of activity. And so for some people that might be going on a brisk walk. For other people that might be going on a really light jog. But starting with the movement and then working up towards, if you can do some sort of activity where you can still maintain a conversation with somebody, but you're getting your heart rate up. That's kind of what we're aiming for. You don't want to make yourself so uncomfortable that you can't even hold a conversation, but you do want to, get your breathing up, get your heart rate up. That's what we're really going for.
Beautiful. Well, what happens, you guys, when you do that is you like supercharge endocannabinoids in your body. And those endocannabinoids, that's like the runner's high juice. And they ought to call it a jogger's high. Because if you're running super fast, it's not, you don't get as much of a benefit. I mean, so you want to have that like slow and steady, keep going and persistently, working. And you will find at a certain point that you will get way happy. You'll love the world. You'll want to call your friends, because you get it's almost like, you smoked a little because it feels so good. It feels great. That's the reason people get addicted to running, honestly, or jogging. And so that's the jogger's high. Endocannabinoids in your system. It's like your natural morphine type substances. And we want to tap into that, guys. I mean, that's what part of the reason why it's an antidepressant, right? So starting off slow, working up to that moderate intensity, just like you described. I love that. And, I think that the other big thing that we don't talk about as much is just posture, because the way you stand changes how many calories one is burning, right? And when we're here in this posture, our nervous system is not working as well. We are increasing our risk that we're going to have a hump when we get older, and of course, with our phones and our computers down. So, you guys, stand tall, stand strong, engage your back muscles, and engage your core when you're walking. And even that counts as more activity. So sometimes it's more about like just moving with power and strength. And if you start at that place, that can be enough to say, oh, I feel good. Maybe I should take a little walk. So when people are thinking about exercise, Mackenzie, how do you break it down into like different mindsets around exercise, or where are they in that process of getting into exercise? What?
Yeah. So I one of my favorite classes that I've taken at Western so far is an exercise psychology class. And we actually we use this textbook. I don't know if you can see it.
Ah,
Yeah, so it's motivating people to be physically active.
woo, woo.
Yes, I loved this book so much. Normally I rent my textbooks, but I bought this one because I was like, this is a good one. I'm going to keep this one. Anyways, so in this book, they break down different stages of what they call motivational readiness to change. And so there's 5 stages. The first one being, if you're inactive and you're not even thinking about becoming active. Second one is you're active, but you are thinking about becoming active. Third is doing some physical activity. So you're doing a little bit, but not quite reaching, the benchmark for, getting benefits to the activity. And then the fourth stage is you are, or excuse me, this is the fifth stage. You're making physical activity a habit. And so did I do every single one of those? I think I hit all 5, right?
Yeah, I think not active and not even thinking about it. Right? Not active, but thinking about it. Starting to do a little bit, and then you are doing it regularly, and then you're making it a habit. Yeah. So I think you covered all of those, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people can figure out kind of where are they. And I think that the goal is like, just get to the next one, right?
Right. Yeah. And so you can kind of break it down into, you can take cognitive strategies to
Mhm.
changing your activity, or you can take, make behavioral changes.
Mhm.
And so in the earlier stages, you're kind of focusing on, changing your mindset, learning more about the benefits of activity. A big one that we talked about was try to consider the consequences for other people in your life. So if you are living a sedentary life and you're not taking care of your body, you need to think about, how is this going to affect your loved ones or your friends? Is it going to be difficult for them to see your health decline? They might have to take care of you later in life if you're not, maintaining a healthful life. And then in the later stages, when you're already being active, you can kind of implement more behavioral changes, like reminding yourself or finding social support, or
Exercising with friends is
yeah,
really good thing to do. Yeah. I
yeah,
want to um, go back to that first one because it was so critical. And that's, guys, that's your why. Why the heck am I doing this? I mean, my why was I saw that I was not exercising. I was not able, I could see I wasn't going to be able to play with my grandkids. I mean, if I ever have grandkids, right? I don't yet, but I really want to be there. I want to get stronger. I want to have adventures still. I don't want to stop the adventures. I mean, things it's what's sad is when somebody retires and they just decline, right? Because then work's gone and they're physically, kaput, and then they just sit in a chair and their health gets bad. So you have to have that why, and getting in touch with your future self can really help you. Like seeing that person clearly, what is he or she doing? What kind of fun stuff, right? That are you strong enough to do that maybe you're not even able to now. And then when you think about, oh, should I go take my little walk or walk outside, or should I do my isometrics? You can think about that person. And there's studies showing the more strongly and powerfully you have that person in your head, like you see your future self, the more likely you are to engage in activities that make that person come to life. So get your why solidly down. And so then you were talking about those behavioral ways and community-based ways. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure we drove home that why. You got to have the why
Yeah.
really, really down.
No, you're absolutely right. And I kind of touched a little bit on the behavioral parts. Finding social support is so important. Rewarding yourself, recognizing that you're making progress, tracking your progress, and then feeling that joy and that accomplishment in what you've done for your health and your body. And also, making commitments. If you've got your social support, make plans. Tell somebody like, yeah, at 5 o'clock on Friday, I want to do this. And so you're kind of committing, you're kind of enlisting other people to keep you accountable to your goals.
Right. I mean, different people have different strategies for getting themselves to do things, right? For me, scheduling is huge. If I schedule it, much more likely I'm going to do it. And if I don't, my day can pull me away. That's why I like that idea we've talked about before, Mackenzie, is bookends. Bookend your day, and exercise is definitely part of my morning bookend. So I can knock that out of the park at the very beginning and feel like I've already done something good for myself. And then the other thing that we think about is not being too hard on yourself, right? As you're going through this process. And if you have friends who are encouraging you and on the same path, I think that's great. Some people are shy to exercise with others at first. Yeah. And may not resonate, but usually a walk with a friend is something that, even if you're shy to exercise around others, walking totally counts, you guys. And let's see. Well, the other thing that I was thinking about, and you mentioned, is keeping a track of it. And so what we ought to have is some kind of a calendar, some place that we can cross off a nice X and give ourselves that positive reinforcement. Do you have anything else to add about the exercise habit?
I guess there were a couple more things that I did want to talk about. Something that we really emphasized in my exercise psychology class was, as you get to towards making activity and movement a habit, and you start reaching those, goals of being active every day, you really want to consider, people get into a routine and sometimes they get bored of their routine. And so it's important to kind of plan ahead and recognize, like, how can I continue to make this activity interesting and exciting? And so, trying different things or including, differences in what you would normally do is really important to keeping that interest in your activity, and also anticipating, pitfalls. So obviously you're not going to be able to hold a very specific routine at all times. And so having a plan or a backup plan for, if I get really busy, this is an alternative. Or, if the weather starts to go bad, I can do something inside rather than outside. And so having that idea of, how can I make changes, or what are some substitutes or alternatives to what I normally do, is really important too.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, visualizing your obstacles and making a plan how you're going to overcome those obstacles is really important, you guys. So this is the whoop method. Okay, wish. What's your wish? Like, what's the thing you want to do? And you got the objective. Whoop. And then you have obstacles, right? And you need to figure out how you're going to overcome those obstacles. So you create a plan, like, my afternoon enemy is me, a college student version of me that pizza loves pizza, and she also wants to have a glass of wine in the evening. So I have to know I'm going to talk to her, right? Like, especially if my kids are asking for pizza. And actually today's one of those days, my kid's 14th birthday, we're going to have pizza. So I already need to start talking with her about this whole thing, like, okay. And I have to negotiate with my afternoon enemy. And I need to make friends with her and say, okay, it's going to be all right. We'll do something else that's better. Or maybe I am going to tell my family I'm not going to eat pizza. So I can be held accountable for that. Best would be if I could convince him not to have pizza, but that ain't happening. Um, but if you guys can see those problems you're going to have with implementing your plan and figure out how you're going to overcome those, it will make it much more likely that you're going to be able to do what you want to do. And that works in all different areas of life and health and habits and business. I mean, everything. So whoop it up, everybody. And then creating a streak, right? You guys know of Jerry Seinfeld. Do you know who Jerry Seinfeld is?
I do,
Oh,
yes.
you do? Okay, great. So the Seinfeld show. And he was at one time an unknown comic, and he would write a joke every day. So every day for years and years and years. And he was making a streak. And that is how he honed his craft, right? And if you guys, I mean, want to pick one thing that you're going to do in your life to help you become more healthy or whatever it is, and try and create streaks. Try and do it every day. And if you skip a day, the next day, make it the total top of your list so you can get the momentum. An object in motion tends to stay in a motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. So if you get a streak going, you are going to have more momentum to keep it going, because you don't want to break the streak, right?
Right, yeah.
So yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Anything else we need to say?
No, I really liked that the whoop you went over. I think that's a really good way to remember it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you guys, we hope this has been helpful, giving you some ideas. Start small, start slow, just start.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys later, and we'll have an awesome,